Hi, everyone, and welcome to day two in the Enterprise Data Strategy track. In this session, we'll be talking with Rob Miller and Eric Buxton at HealthSource Distributors. And we'll be covering how they automated their supply chain processes and how the company used data architecture to accelerate revenue growth. So let's get started. Hi, Rob. Hi, Eric.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Excellent. So we'll kick things off with introductions. Rob, if you wouldn't mind giving us a quick intro to yourself.
I'm a software software developer by trade. Been in the industry since 1987. I worked in a variety of careers, from the transportation industry into the Department of Defense for a little while, and landed in healthcare in '96. Left again, went back to the Department of Defense for a little while, and then came back to the healthcare industry. I've been leading the team over at HealthSource since about 2012, although I've known the owner of the company since his inception, when it was him and another guy part-time. So I had developed a system for use by the company or companies in that space, in the pharmaceutical distribution space. He found out about it, called me up, wanted to use it, and that's kind of how the relationship started. And I went to work full-time for him in 2017.
Excellent. Awesome. Eric?
I've been developing for about 25 years, and Rob hired me to basically replace his version 1 of the company's warehouse management software. That was a Fox Pro system, and I was tasked to develop in .NET and bring us into, the next generation. And it was about, I guess it's been about 7 years now that I've been with the company.
Yeah, about 7 years,
Yeah.
Long time.
Awesome.
Time goes by, man.
Thanks for the intros, guys. So we'll just give everyone an idea for the agenda in this session. So we'll first cover some of the blockers to modernization that HealthSource ran into with business-to-business data exchange and integration. And we'll also talk more generally about the common challenges that we at CData observe with supply chain data integration. We'll then discuss the solution that HealthSource implemented with CData Arc, as well as their return on investment. The most eye-catching result for me here was how HealthSource was able to use their new tech stack and processes to accelerate revenue growth. So we'll definitely dive into that. And then finally, we'll look forward into how HealthSource plans to leverage automation with CData Arc in the future. So firstly, Rob, I'll throw it to you. Tell us a little bit more about what HealthSource does as a company.
HealthSource is a pharmaceutical wholesale distributor. We buy 95% of our products direct from manufacturers. We have a couple of websites that we market these products to for pharmacies. So we're not a pharmacy. We don't fill prescriptions. We provide the drugs to and the products to pharmacists that do. The company was started by one guy in 2003, as I said earlier, and another guy part-time. And in 2009, he modified the way he was doing business and started with a public website, and the company's grown from there. I became involved in the very beginning with this old system that Eric mentioned. And then in 2014, he and I, the owner and I, reconnected, and he wanted me to join the team kind of as a consultant to help modernize some of the processes in that old system to more match the way his business had changed. At that time, still working for the Department of Defense, actually, I think, at that point. And anyway, so it was a part-time gig. And then in 2016, he asked me what it would take for me to leave that job and come to him full time. So I made that decision, and at that time I was actually also involved in upgrading all of his operations. So I was sort of wearing both hats. And then in 2019, we made the decision to get off this old platform. We've been trying for a couple of years. He had hired some consultants, but he finally decided that it might be a good idea to give the original guy an opportunity to build the thing from the inside. So that's when Eric joined the team. HealthSource has since probably become, so there, there's the primary wholesalers, what they call the big three, and that's, Cardinal, McKesson, Amerisource, these big companies. And then there's the secondary wholesalers. We don't carry all of the products that are available. We carry maintenance drugs, things like that, stuff that is used most commonly, I suppose. And we've managed to leverage that along with the technology and to probably becoming one of the largest secondary wholesalers on the East Coast, although we do business throughout the United States, all 50 states, including Alaska and Hawaii. But the company went from one guy and another guy part-time to about 150, 200 employees now.
That's awesome. It's great growth and a lot of modernization of your tech stack over the course of that time also, it sounds like. So Indeed. For the audience, a big focus of this session is going to be business-to-business integration and process automation. But as we'll see later in the session, this will apply to the automation of internal processes as well. In a business-to-business context, I want to familiarize the audience with a couple of key concepts. So we'll talk about electronic data interchange, or EDI. This is referring to a set of protocols that help standardize business-to-business communication. And so that's particularly relevant for supply chain entities like manufacturers, retailers, distributors like HealthSource, because they have to manage a high frequency and large volume of data exchange with their trading partners. So that includes their suppliers, customers, shipping and logistics providers, and so on. So with these concepts in mind, let's dive into some challenges that we see with this process. Eric, can you give us an overview of HealthSource's challenges with EDI before coming to CData?
Sure. We had to say no whenever customers asked us if we had EDI until we had no choice but to look into a solution. And as coming from as a developer, when I was brought into HealthSource, I had never even dealt with EDI. I had no idea what it was, actually. Just knew I didn't, once I heard about it, I didn't want to be part of it. So having said that, we went on a recommendation, found a license to, I guess, one EDI, it was called one EDI source, I don't know, Epicor, I forget the name of it now at this point, HQ. And we had another developer on staff who basically said, okay, this is you, take this thing over, right? And, our license was like 25 trading partners. We could use it SFTP only, and it would take weeks for these mappings to get set up. And it was just slow, didn't work. And then, as it turned out, we didn't end up needing the other developer. And at the same time, our license was coming up, and I was telling Rob, I think once we get into talking to our vendors and communicating with them for purchasing, not just our customers, when we start sending out our purchasing, we needed AS2. And this was an additional fee to add on. And I said, this thing, it's terrible. It just, we couldn't use it. So I literally talked to one of the trading partners that I know kind of casually and stuff, who I said, what are you doing about your AS2? And he said, just Google RSS bus. Well, as it turns out, CData owns RSS bus. Boom, here's CData. Huh, okay, let me check this out. 30-day trial, installed it, pulled a mapping out of this old this Epicor system, uploaded it, and boom. I'm like, look at this, Rob. Look how fast I did this. Like,
he was very excited when he called me
like,
about
this is it. This is it right here. We can run it on our own servers. We like that. Connected to our SQL database. Yeah, I mean, I was sold right away. Yeah, so we get, and that was, yeah, it just took off from
It
there.
was like going from a Model T. I've said this before. It was like going from a Model T to a McLaren. I mean, the difference in the way the two tools worked and the way they were even constructed, the way they had to run and everything. It was just a huge paradigm shift for us in terms of our ability to communicate with our customers and suppliers.
Yeah, and then all of the other bells and whistles that came with it. You know, obviously EDI is the core, but we also use a lot of the other features as well, which I think we'll get into it later. But
Yeah, that's awesome. That is great to hear. So I think we should dive deeper into that. I'd like to kind of cover some of the ways, you guys have used some of these, attempts to address EDI. This is something that we see very commonly with supply chain integration and automation, depending on the specific approach that companies might take. And HealthSource has experimented with these in the past as well. So there are third-party entities that provide EDI as a service. And in this case, you're outsourcing your mission-critical transactions and how these transactions integrate with your ERP system, CRM, etc. So you're giving away a lot of control over your business outcomes. And these service providers also tend to charge by transaction volume. So you are penalized with a higher bill as your business scales and grows. Eric and Rob, feel free to chime in here as well. I'd love to get your thoughts on this type of third-party outsourced EDI.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that we didn't want to go with a van. I mean, Rob, he, even though like his programming, he comes from an era before me, but we're programmers over here, right? So we naturally want to have control over what we're doing. We don't, plus the cost and everything associated with it. It just was not even an option. So, we heavily discussed and even, scoped out what it would take to develop our own in-house system. In fact, we even looked at a few libraries to help with it. But we, estimated like, okay, this is going to take a lot of time, and our warehouse management software, which is the core of our company that we focus on in our development, still was being rolled out in its latest release. So it was just not an option. So one, we're not going to pay a van for this. It's just not happening. Or for the fact of just the cost, and two, I don't want to have to wait around for somebody else to set maps up. And
you don't have any control.
Right. Yeah. Then number two, then it was like, we don't have the time. Do we want to hire more resources? That would, that was just too, it was like, and then we found this compromise via accident, really, which was CData, ARC. I'm like an end user. I'm not used to being an end user. I'm used to having to build for the end user. But with a lot of the script options and everything I could do, with script and customizations and stuff, I feel like I could still have my programming power while being an end user. So it was kind of like the best of both worlds for me. And at the end of the day, I run the EDI. I mean, I set it up, I map it, you map it, the goal is to map it and forget it, there's some, monitoring, but I'm still the lead software developer. My focus is our in-house warehouse management system. So I'm not supporting a EDI, an EDI platform that we built along with a warehouse management solution that we built at the same time. It worked out well.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that's really insightful. And so yeah, we've
Can I
also spoken.
can I add
Yeah,
something to that, Arun? One of the
yeah,
things we
go ahead.
also discovered as we went along here is it's not just about EDI. There are other tools, other ways that we use this tool that have streamlined, particularly automation, our ability to produce data for the stakeholders in our company, and also customers, end users and stuff, um, where we've been able to automate some of those processes, and we use CData to pull the data from our systems and put it in a format that is usable by all of those different groups. So that was a kind of a side benefit that we kind of knew was there, but until we once we got past the initial EDI setups, then we discovered all these things, and oftentimes it's sort of the lead tool. It's like, well, can we make CData help us with this? So that's another big benefit to this tool.
Awesome. Yeah, and we have spoken about like the legacy solutions that you all have implemented in the past as well, and they generally tend to have unstable interfaces and poor user experience a lot of the time, and custom scripting is quite time intensive, and so these challenges are pretty common for what we see in the space. And so at this point, let's cover how HealthSource addressed these challenges with CData Arc, which is our EDI automation platform. So I'll give the audience a quick overview of what is CData Arc. It is essentially an EDI management platform that aims to solve the challenges that we've spoken about here. So firstly, CData Arc has an intuitive graphical workflow design experience that lets you build workflows self-service. So that eliminates your enterprise's reliance on third-party EDI as a service providers and lets you take control of your implementation timelines. In fact, HealthSource achieved a competitive advantage by being able to design integrations faster than even their trading partners could keep up with, which Eric and Rob will share more about. Secondly, as Rob just alluded to, CData Arc has a pricing model that scales. It doesn't charge you for consumption, so you're not paying that data tax as your business grows and your transaction volumes increase. Thirdly, Arc leverages our full breadth of connectivity at CData, so you can connect into any database, application, file transfer protocol. So you can design these integration workflows that read from or write to any of your operational systems and data stores. And Arc also lets you automate file transfer processes across networks into Azure Blob Storage, S3, SharePoint, etc. And last but not least, CData has world-class technical support. We have a highly responsive and deeply knowledgeable support team with decades of experience building these kinds of integrations, as Eric can attest to as well. So with that high-level overview, I'll throw it to you, Eric, to share your experience implementing CData Arc at HealthSource.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. I think, if I keep this brief, but in about a year with the old system, the Epicor system, I think we got 25 trading partners set up. Well, I had all of those set up within like 60 days from bringing them over, and then I think by the end of the first year we were actually upping our license for more EDI connectors. So that just gives you, in terms of speed, it's just, you can't compare. It's like apples and oranges. Now, the learning curve, as a programmer, I was able to jump in more with this Arc script and understand it more. Yeah, it is a graphical user interface for end user, and there is a lot of point and click, which to somebody like me it's kind of weird, but for the non-technical programming kind of person, like, it's very easy. And it's also very easy for me to expand upon that. The automation, it's just, set it up, turn it on, and walk away kind of thing. I mean, I get errors, I'm notified right away. It's just, as far as EDI goes, I mean, I'm waiting on these vans to get back to me. Like, I have the maps done. I could copy for it. If I'm using the same AS2 provider for multiple trading partners, then I know what the map's gonna look like, and I'm just copying it from another one, just making a few tweaks, done. Send the test. Then I wait 3 weeks for them to get back and say, okay, we're production ready. So I like being ahead of everybody else. I don't like waiting, but that's just EDI.
Yeah,
We
that's
are
awesome.
way ahead of everybody else. We astonish people with how fast we can respond. And one of the other things I want to mention is we were able to, through the user interface for our employees, particularly in the customer service area, who deal with our customers every day, that if a customer requests, there are pharmacy systems out there, for pharmacy management that use EDI. Customer can call and say, hey, we want to get set up with EDI. They can do it themselves. A couple of clicks and poof,
Yeah, we built our warehouse management. Yeah, we integrate our warehouse management.
Yeah, so it's not, and then with our supplier training partners, our purchasing manager can't reach out to his sales rep on his end, and they set him up so that we can purchase things through EDI. No, we have to go through their EDI department, all that stuff. So CData has allowed us to move that task out of the IT department and into the hands of the end users, so that at least within our company, so that they can set these people up with a few clicks, and poof, you're getting your EDI documents, the next day. So that's a big thing. It doesn't pull down our resources to set up these new people. That was a big part of what CData was allowing us to do within our own space.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. So in the couple of minutes we have left, I would like to call on you, Rob, to touch on, you've already kind of started there. It's a nice segue into the business impact that ARC has had at HealthSource. Can you speak a little bit on this?
Yeah, real quick. I know we're not having a lot of time. So we had outsourced our EDI to our customers to a third party when I first started, and then obviously we brought it in-house. So what that's allowed us to do is not only with the fast response times I've mentioned, but it's allowed us to expand the number of trading partners that we're able to work with, and that has added a whole bunch more retail pharmacies buying, directly from us, and allowed us to also expand our product line to better serve those customers. So when we first implemented this tool, I believe it was in March, I think, of 2023, we experienced about a 30% growth rate in fiscal 2023, but to date, it's closer to 40%. And, there's a lot of factors that, and the sales guys will argue with me that it's all them, of course. But the truth
sales
is,
guys need EDI for these new customers.
Yeah, the truth is that it's the efficiency of what we've been able to accomplish, and this is just on the customer side, through the use of this tool, and the expansion of our ability and the speed with which we can onboard new trading partners. It's just it's remarkable how it's really just two guys that there's three of us all together in the department, but there's really just two guys, and it mostly falls on Eric and his ability to manage all this. So that's the direct result, I think, is the growth in, HealthSource will probably do $1 billion in sales this year. When I first started, when we first implemented this tool, we were doing about 450. So in a little over 18 months, we've grown pretty tremendously.